The desert was silent, endless waves of sand stretching under the burning sun. A group of soldiers walked carefully, their boots sinking into the soft dunes. They were tired, thirsty, and lost. Their mission was simple, but dangerous. They had been sent to find a strange object that satellites had discovered hidden under the desert floor. At first, the soldiers thought it was only a big rock, but when the sandstorm cleared, they saw it. A massive pyramid, dark and shining, half buried. In the earth, it was nothing like the pyramids of Egypt. Its surface was smooth, black, and glowing with faint silver lines. Symbols no one had ever seen before ran across the stone like veins of light. The team leader, Captain Harris, whispered, "This is not human work." His voice was dry, heavy. With fear, the others looked at each other. Some made the sign of the cross, others stood frozen. Nobody wanted to go closer, but John, the youngest member of the team, felt something different. His heart was racing, not with fear, but with curiosity. It was as if the pyramid was calling him, pulling him forward like a magnet. He ignored the warnings of his captain. He walked toward the black stone, his hands shaking. The air grew colder near the pyramid. The sand under his feet was no longer warm but icy. John reached out and touched the smooth surface. The moment his skin met the stone, a deep vibration shook the desert. The ground trembled. The wind roared. The soldiers shouted in panic. Some fell to the ground, others aimed their weapons. Lines of light spread across the pyramid, running like rivers of fire. The silver symbols began to shine brighter, and then a sound came. A low hum, deep and powerful, like 1,000 voices chanting from underground. Then it happened. A hidden door appeared before John, its edges glowing with blue light. The door cracked open slowly, releasing a cold mist that rolled out across the sand. The soldiers stepped, back in fear, but John did not move. He felt as if invisible hands were guiding him forward. Captain Harris shouted, "Stay back. We don't know what's inside." But John shook his head. "It wants me," he whispered. His voice was calm, almost in a trance. The mist grew thicker, and the air smelled strange, sharp, like burned metal. Beyond the doorway was only darkness. The kind of darkness that eats light and sound, the soldiers argued. Some wanted to drag John back. Others wanted to leave the place at once, but curiosity was stronger than fear. Together they stepped inside, torches in their hands. The inside of the pyramid was not made of stone. The walls were metallic, smooth, and covered with glowing symbols. As the group walked, the walls shifted, moving like liquid. Shapes formed. Strange images of humans standing beside tall alien figures with long arms and shining eyes. John stared at the carvings. "It knows us," he whispered. "These are humans," the others gasped. The carvings showed battles, alliances, and something that looked like stars and planets. It was a history written by another world. Suddenly, the door behind them slammed shut with a loud crash. The sound echoed. Like thunder, they turned back, but it was too late. The exit was gone, only smooth black wall remained. Panic filled the group. Some banged on the wall, others screamed, but John stood still, his eyes glowing in the dim light. He felt the pyramid was alive. It was not just a building, it was watching them, studying them. The hum grew louder, the floor shook again, and from the shadows at the end of the corridor something moved. A machine stepped forward, tall, shining, with glowing eyes. Its body was made of black metal, and sharp weapons grew from its arms. More machines awoke, rising from hidden chambers. In the walls, their footsteps heavy, their glowing eyes fixed on the humans. The soldiers raised their weapons, their hands trembling, the air filled with the sound of breathing and fear. But then, something strange happened. The machines did not attack. Instead, they turned to John. They scanned him with beams of light. Then, slowly, they lowered their weapons and knelt. The soldiers froze, their mouths open. Nobody could understand what they were seeing. John's chest rose and fell. His voice shook as he whispered, "It knows me." The pyramid lights flared brighter, covering the walls with flowing symbols. The machines began to speak in a strange language, their voices deep, mechanical. But somehow, John understood a single word: chosen. The group stood, in silence, surrounded by machines, the hum growing louder, the darkness closing in. And then the corridor shook again. The ground split, and another passage opened, this one glowing with golden light. A deep voice echoed through the pyramid. Neither human nor machine enter and be judged. The soldiers looked at John with fear, with suspicion, with questions. But John could not answer. His feet began to move on their own, leading him into the unknown. Behind them, the door sealed shut forever, and the pyramid's heart began to wake. The golden passage stretched endlessly before them. Its walls shimmered like liquid light, shifting and flowing with strange symbols. The air felt heavy, almost alive. Every step echoed like thunder, yet there was no sound from their boots, only a low vibration that rattled inside their bones. The soldiers whispered among themselves, fear crawling into their voices. But John walked forward without hesitation, his eyes locked on the glowing corridor, as if something unseen was pulling him deeper. Captain Harris barked orders, trying to keep the group together, but no one could ignore the growing sense that this place was testing them. At the end of the corridor, a massive chamber opened. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into darkness. The floor was a mirror reflecting their own images, yet strangely the reflections moved a second too late, as if the mirror was alive. Suddenly, beams of blue light shot down from the ceiling, forming a circle around John. The machines from before appeared again, stepping out of the shadows with metallic grace, their glowing eyes fixed on him. Their weapons aimed not at John this time, but at the other humans. The soldiers lifted their guns in panic. Harris shouted, "Don't fire, don't make them angry!" The tension was unbearable. One wrong move and the machines could cut them down in an instant. Then the floor changed. Symbols began to spin under John's feet, glowing brighter and brighter. A voice filled the chamber, deep, layered, and mechanical. The human has touched the sacred stone. The test begins. Before anyone could react, the ground split into separate platforms. Each soldier found themselves standing alone, divided by deep cracks filled with glowing red energy. John stood at the center, the machines surrounding him like silent judges. The first test came quickly. A wall rose before them, covered in alien puzzles, glowing shapes and patterns that shifted constantly. The voice thundered. Again, solve or perish, the soldiers tried desperately, pressing shapes, twisting symbols. Some cried out in frustration. Others failed and their platforms cracked, vanishing into the red energy. Their screams echoed as they fell into nothingness. John's wall glowed differently. The symbols aligned into patterns that almost looked familiar. He touched them carefully and the puzzle shifted smoothly into place. The wall dissolved and his platform rose higher. The others stared in shock. Harris shouted across the gap, "Why is it easier for him? Why does it respond to him?" No one had an answer, but everyone felt it. John was different. The pyramid wanted him. The second test began. Illusions filled the chamber. The soldiers saw shadows of their worst fears. Some saw burning cities. Others saw loved ones screaming. Their hands shook. Some fired their weapons wildly at the illusions. The bullets passed through harmlessly, but the machines reacted, charging their weapons with warning light. John's illusion was different. He saw himself older, standing on a throne of alien metal wearing armor. The galaxy bowed before him, but in the vision, his eyes glowed cold. He was not a savior, but a conqueror. He shook his head, whispering, "No, that's not me." And he closed his eyes. When he opened them, the vision faded. The machines lowered their weapons and stepped back. The third test was the hardest. The chamber filled with water, rising quickly around them. The soldiers screamed, gasping for air, pounding at the walls. The water climbed higher and higher until it covered their heads, but John could breathe. The water around him shimmered, glowing with faint light. He looked at his hands and saw bubbles of air forming around him. He swam to the others, pulling one soldier after another into the glowing air pocket. He shared the breath, saving them from drowning. The water drained away, leaving them soaked and shaking. The machines stood silent, their glowing eyes watching. The voice thundered again. The chosen human shows compassion. The others show weakness. The time grows short. Then the ceiling cracked open and a giant hologram filled the chamber. An alien figure appeared, tall and slender, its skin like silver glass. Its eyes glowed with endless light. It spoke in a voice that rattled their bones. Humanity was once our ally, but they betrayed us. Now one must prove if they are worthy to stand with us again. The soldiers froze, their breathing heavy. Harris clenched his fists. Betrayed you? When? How? But the hologram ignored him, its glowing eyes fixed only on John. You have 7 days, it said. The chamber walls lit up with a massive countdown. The numbers burned bright. 7 days, 0 hours, 0 minutes. Pass the trials, or your world will fall. The hologram vanished, leaving only silence and the sound of the ticking countdown. The soldiers turned to John, some with awe, others with suspicion. Harris stepped forward, his face pale. Why you? Why are they choosing you? What makes you special? John's lips trembled. He shook his head slowly. I don't know, he whispered. But deep inside, he felt something awaken, a memory that wasn't his, a connection to the pyramid he could not explain. Before he could say more, the chamber shook violently. The floor split again, revealing another passage. This one glowed with red light, darker, more dangerous. The machines raised their weapons, pointing to the path. The voice thundered one last time. Enter, human. The next test awaits. John swallowed hard, his heart racing. His team hesitated, torn between following him or fleeing. But the door behind them closed with a heavy crash, trapping them once again. There was no way back. Only forward, deeper into the alien heart of the pyramid, and the countdown ticked on. The red passage stretched before them like the throat of a giant beast. The air inside was hot, heavy, and filled with a low humming sound that shook their hearts. The soldiers walked slowly, their eyes darting to the glowing walls. Every step felt like entering deeper into something alive. John led the way, though his hands trembled. His mind felt strange, filled with whispers that were not his own. Sometimes the walls pulsed like veins, glowing brighter when he passed by. It was as if the pyramid was watching him, feeding from his very soul. At last the corridor opened into a vast chamber. Unlike the others, this place was silent, empty, and cold. The ceiling curved high above like a night sky, and small lights twinkled across it like stars. In the center stood a tall crystal pillar, glowing faintly with green light. John stepped closer. His reflection appeared in the crystal, but it was not only him. The reflection shifted, showing strange images. A younger Earth, green and wild. Ancient humans, standing beside tall alien figures. They were not enemies, but allies. The soldiers gasped. One whispered, "This is impossible." Another muttered, "This is history." Suddenly, the crystal flared and a beam of light shot into John's chest. His body went stiff, his eyes rolled back, and he collapsed to the floor. The soldiers shouted in panic. Harris tried to drag him away, but the crystal's light held him in place. John's mind was no longer in the chamber. He was somewhere else. He saw a city, shining towers of silver and glass under alien skies. Humans walked freely among alien races, laughing, trading, learning. The aliens spoke a language he somehow understood. Together we rise, together we protect. But the vision shifted. Darkness fell. War erupted. Humans raised weapons against their alien allies. Fire consumed the silver towers. The aliens screamed. In betrayal, their voices thundered. Never again humanity has broken the oath. John's chest tightened. He tried to move, to speak, but he was only a watcher. He saw alien fleets leave Earth behind, disappearing into the stars. Their voices echoing, "We will return, to judge if humans have changed." Suddenly, John stood in the middle of the battlefield. Bodies lay everywhere. Human soldiers laughed as they looted alien machines. The ground was stained with betrayal. One alien leader, tall and glowing, looked directly at him. Its voice shook his mind. Your kind chose greed, your kind chose war, and now you must prove they deserve another chance. The vision shattered. John gasped and opened his eyes. His body shook, sweat running down his face. Harris crouched beside him, gripping his shoulder. What happened? What did you see? John's voice trembled. We were here before. Humans were part of them, but we betrayed them. That's why this place tests us. That's why it's me. The soldiers stared in horror. Some cursed under their breath. Others muttered prayers. The machines in the shadows stepped forward. Their glowing eyes locked on John. The crystal pillar shifted, opening like a flower. Inside it was a sphere of light, pulsing like a heart. The machines bowed, and the voice of the pyramid filled the chamber. You have seen the truth, human. Your race failed once. If you fail, again your world will burn. The floor split, revealing a pool of liquid silver. The sphere of light floated above it. Suddenly the pool shimmered, showing an image so real it made the soldiers fall silent. It was Earth, blue oceans, white clouds, green forests, but the image changed quickly. A fleet of alien ships appeared in the black of space, moving toward Earth with speed and power. Their weapons glowed like suns. The soldiers gasped. No, this can't be real. Harris clenched his jaw. They're coming, aren't they? The voice answered. 7 days, if the chosen fails, Earth shall face judgment. John felt his knees weaken. His heart pounded like a drum. He wanted to scream, to run. But deep inside, something stronger held him still. He whispered, I won't let it happen. The crystal dimmed, the pool closed, and the chamber shook. Another door opened, this one leading downward into deeper darkness. The countdown appeared again on the wall. 6 days, 12 hours, 23 minutes. The numbers burned like fire. The soldiers argued. Some shouted that they must return to warn the world. Others said they had to destroy the pyramid before it destroyed them. Harris tried to calm them, but fear spread like poison. Only John stood, silent, staring at the fading image of Earth, his hands clenched into fists, his voice low but steady. If I fail, we all die. The machines stepped aside, allowing them to pass. The chamber door began to close, forcing them to move forward. As the last soldier stepped through, the crystal's faint voice whispered again, almost too soft to hear. Remember, human, this is not only your test, this is the test of your entire race. The door sealed shut, and the chamber of memories went dark. John walked into the deeper corridor, his heart heavy with the weight of the past. Behind his eyes, the alien leader's gaze still burned, and ahead, the shadow of Earth's destruction grew closer. The test was no longer just about survival. It was about redemption. The deeper corridor felt different from the others. The air was thicker, filled with the sharp smell of metal and burning stone. The walls pulsed faintly, as if blood moved through them. The soldiers walked with unease, their weapons tight in their hands. Nobody trusted the pyramid anymore, but even worse, they no longer trusted each other. John led in silence, his face pale, his eyes dark with the memory of what he had seen. The vision of humans betraying the aliens burned in his mind. He wanted to believe humanity could do better, but doubt grew inside him. Were they already failing the test? Behind him, whispers began. Private Allen leaned toward another soldier, his voice low but filled with fear. This is madness. The machines only care about him. Why are we following? He's leading us to death. Sergeant Miles, taller and older, gritted his teeth. Keep your mouth shut. If the machines want him, then we protect him. That's the mission. But Allen's eyes narrowed. He did not believe. Not anymore. The corridor opened into a massive hall. Unlike the others, this chamber glowed red. Huge alien machines lined the walls, their bodies silent but their eyes glowing faintly like sleeping predators. In the center of the hall was a circular platform. Above it hung another sphere of light, spinning slowly like a sun. As the soldiers stepped inside, the machines awakened, their heads turned, their weapons unfolded, but they did not fire. Instead, a voice filled the hall. The next test begins, trust or betrayal. Choose well, for the cost is blood. The platform rose slowly, carrying John into the air. The light scanned him, burning symbols into the floor below. The soldiers stared upward, their nerves shaking. They did not understand. Alan stepped forward, his hand tight on his rifle. His eyes glared at John with hatred. He's the reason we're trapped. He's the reason we're going to die. The machines follow him, not us, don't you see? They don't need us, Miles barked. Stand down, Alan, that's an order. But Alan's voice grew louder, desperate. You don't get it. He's chosen. We're expendable. They'll kill us when he passes their tests. We should be the ones in charge. We should take control. The others looked at each other. Fear twisted their hearts. Was Alan right? Were they only shadows in John's trial? John heard every word. His voice echoed down. This isn't about me. It's about all of us. If I fail, Earth dies. If I succeed, we all live. Don't you understand? But Alan shook his head violently. Sweat ran down his face. His voice cracked. No. If they only need one human, why not me? Why not us? Why him? Then Alan raised his rifle, aiming it directly at John. The chamber exploded with shouts. Miles tackled him, knocking the barrel upward. The gun fired, the shot echoing like thunder. Sparks rained down from the ceiling. The machines roared, their eyes burning brighter. Their weapons powered up. The voice boomed through the hall. Betrayal detected. The cost must be paid. One machine fired a beam of red light. It struck the floor near the soldiers, carving a deep hole. The ground shook. Stones and metal cracked apart. Panic filled the hall. Alan screamed, trying to break free from Miles's grip. We'll all die, don't you see? He clawed at his belt, pulling a small transmitter. His thumb smashed the button. A green light blinked, sending a signal far above the desert. John's eyes widened in horror. What did you do? Alan shouted, his voice broken. I called for extraction. Command will come. They'll take this technology. They'll take everything. We don't need the aliens' test. We need their power. The machines roared louder. Some aimed weapons. At Alan, others at the rest of the group. The air filled with light. The countdown on the wall glowed brighter, now ticking faster. 6 days, 11 hours, 50 minutes. The platform lowered John back to the floor. His hands shook as he grabbed Alan by the vest. You fool, you don't understand. If we steal from them, if we betray them again, they will destroy Earth. But Alan only laughed, wild and broken. Then let them try. We'll have their weapons, their ships. Humanity will rule the stars. Before John could answer, the floor split wide. A dark chasm opened, glowing with fire beneath. The machines stepped aside, forcing them toward the new path. The voice thundered again, louder than ever. The human race is divided. Greed poisons their hearts. The chosen must decide, save them or condemn them. The soldiers froze. Some looked at John with hope, others with doubt. But Alan kept smiling, clutching his transmitter like a prize. His signal was already sent. Somewhere above the desert, human generals were receiving it. John's stomach turned cold. He understood now. The pyramid was not only testing him, it was testing the whole of humanity. And Alan had already repeated the ancient mistake. The machines closed ranks, their weapons ready. The voice whispered one last warning. Betrayal has been chosen, judgment begins. John's heart pounded, his eyes locked on Alan. He knew the next step would decide not only their lives, but Earth's fate. The chamber lights flared, the floor trembled, and the path into deeper darkness opened once again. And with it, the sound of doom grew closer. The floor shook violently as the machines forced the humans forward. The air burned with the smell of fire and smoke. Alan still clutched his transmitter, his eyes wild with defiance. The other soldiers glared at him, but none dared to fight him now. They all knew the pyramid was watching, judging. John walked in silence. His chest felt heavy. His mind replayed the vision of betrayal again and again. Humans had broken trust once, and now Alan had repeated the same sin. Could humanity truly be saved, or was the test already lost? The corridor narrowed, leading them into a spiral descent. The walls were different here, not glowing red, but faintly golden. The air was cooler, calmer, almost sacred. At the bottom, the path opened into a vast hidden chamber. It was unlike anything they had seen before. The ceiling glowed with soft white light like the inside of a star. At the center of the chamber stood a massive stasis pod, tall and transparent. Inside it lay a figure, silent and still. The soldiers froze, gasping in disbelief. The figure was not human. Its body was tall and slender, its skin silver like liquid metal, its face calm, almost peaceful. Two glowing eyes were closed, as if sleeping for eternity. Harris whispered, his voice breaking. It's an alien." The machines that had followed stopped at the edge of the chamber, their weapons lowered, their heads bowed slightly, as if they too respected what lay within. John felt drawn to the pod. His feet moved forward without thought. He placed his hand against the glass. The surface was cold, but it pulsed faintly under his touch like a heartbeat. Then the pod cracked. A hiss filled the chamber. The glass opened slowly, releasing mist that rolled across the floor. The figure inside stirred. Its chest rose with a long breath, its glowing eyes opened, bright like stars. The soldiers raised their weapons, but the alien lifted one hand gently. A wave of invisible energy pushed their guns downward. Their arms trembled, unable to resist. The alien's gaze fell on John. Its voice was soft but filled with power. "You are the one." John's throat tightened. Who are you?" he whispered. The alien stepped forward, its movements graceful. Its voice echoed in the chamber. "I am the keeper of memory, guardian of the trial. Long have I slept, waiting for the day humanity would return." The soldiers shifted uneasily. Harris spoke firmly. "Why him? Why do you care about this boy?" The alien turned, its glowing eyes scanning the group. "Because the pyramid knows him. His blood carries the echo of those who once walked beside us. He is the bridge, he is the chance," Alan sneered. "Chance? This is a trap. You just want to control us. We don't need you. We'll take your power and rule ourselves." The alien's gaze hardened, its voice dropped cold. "And that is why humanity fell. Greed. Always greed." John stepped forward. Ignoring Alan, his voice trembled. "What is this place? What do you want from me?" The alien reached out, touching John's forehead with a glowing hand. In an instant, John's mind filled with visions. He saw ancient humans walking beside aliens, guardians of knowledge, protectors of worlds. Then he saw betrayal again. Humans, turning on their allies, stealing, destroying, breaking the bond. The visions ended. The alien lowered its hand, its eyes heavy with sorrow. "We gave your kind knowledge, trust, and honor, but they chose war. Now, only you can prove if humanity has changed." John's voice was barely a whisper. "And if I fail?" The alien's answer was simple. "Then Earth burns." The soldiers gasped. The truth hit them like a storm. Alan only laughed bitterly. Empty threats. They wouldn't dare. But the alien ignored him. It turned back to John. "To succeed, you must enter the pyramid's heart. You must face its core. There you will be tested not in strength, but in spirit. If you fail, your people fail. If you triumph, humanity may be forgiven." The chamber shook. The stasis pod sank into the ground. The walls opened, revealing a new path glowing with deep blue light. The countdown appeared again, this time burning brighter. 5 days, 9 hours, 40 minutes, the alien's voice echoed, fading as its body turned to light. "Remember, chosen one, this is not only your burden, it is the burden of all your kind." John stood frozen, his breath shallow. He felt both fear and purpose burning inside him. The soldiers stared, their faces pale. None spoke. For the first time, they understood the true weight of the trial. Alan broke the silence, his voice sharp. "This is nonsense. We should take what we can and get out. Call command, bring reinforcements, take their weapons, take their ships. That's how humanity survives." Harris grabbed him by the vest, fury in his eyes. "Shut your mouth before you doom us all," but John didn't wait. He stepped into the blue corridor, his voice firm. "We don't have time. We move forward." The soldiers hesitated, torn between loyalty and fear. Yet the door behind them sealed shut once again. There was no choice, only forward. As they walked deeper into the glowing corridor, the alien's words echoed in John's mind. He was the bridge, the chance. But a single mistake, a single weakness, could end everything. And far above, in the black of space, the alien fleet moved, closer to Earth. The blue corridor carried them deeper into the pyramid. The air was heavy, colder than before, and each step echoed like a drumbeat of fate. The soldiers were silent now, their earlier anger swallowed by fear. They knew the end was near. The tests had grown harder and the countdown glowed on every wall. 4 days, 22 hours, 10 minutes. John walked at the front, his mind racing. He could still hear the alien's words. The core will test your spirit, not your strength. What did that mean? What kind of trial was waiting? His chest tightened with every breath. Finally, the corridor opened into the largest chamber yet. The ceiling was endless darkness. The floor stretched wide like a battlefield. In the center stood a circular platform, glowing with golden light. Machines surrounded it, their weapons glowing faintly. Their eyes followed the humans like hawks watching prey. A voice filled the chamber, louder than thunder. The final trial begins. The chosen must face the truth of humanity. He must overcome, or Earth shall burn. The soldiers stepped back, weapons clutched. None wanted to interfere now. The machines. Gaze was fixed only on John. He swallowed hard and stepped onto the platform. The golden light flared, swallowing him. Suddenly the chamber vanished. John was no longer standing on stone, but in a city. He recognized it instantly. It was Earth, but not the Earth he knew. This one was broken, burning. Skyscrapers crumbled, fires raged across the sky, war machines patrolled the streets. He smelled smoke and ash. People screamed, soldiers fired at each other, greed and violence filled the air. John staggered back, his voice cracked. This is us. The illusion twisted. He saw soldiers looting, leaders sitting on thrones of blood, humanity eating itself alive. A whisper coiled around him. This is what they are. This is what you are. John covered his ears, shouting, No! We can change. We're not only this, but the illusions grew darker. Shadows swarmed him. Images of betrayal, of lies, of war. His own face appeared among them, cold and merciless, wearing alien armor, a conqueror of worlds. The whisper grew, louder. You could be king, you could rule them all. Why save them when you could command them? For a moment, John's heart wavered. The vision showed him sitting on a throne of stars, fleets bowing before him, Earth rising as a galactic empire. The temptation burned like fire. But then he remembered. He saw the faces of his team, their fear, their hope. He saw Earth as it was, the forests, the oceans, the children playing. He clenched his fists and shouted, No! That's not who I am. That's not who we must be. The golden light flared. The dark illusions shattered. The burning city crumbled into dust. Silence returned, but the trial was not over. The light shifted again, and now he stood in a room of mirrors. Each mirror showed him different choices. In one, he betrayed his friends to survive. In another, he killed Alan in anger. In another, he walked away, letting Earth burn to save himself. His chest heaved. The mirrors whispered, Choose, John, which one are you? Who will you become? He dropped to his knees, his body shaking. He whispered, I don't know, I'm just one man. And then he remembered the alien's words again. This is not only your burden, it is the burden of all your kind. John stood slowly, his voice steady. I can't choose for all of humanity, but I can choose mercy. I can choose hope. He turned away from the mirrors, refusing them all. The light grew brighter, the mirrors shattered, and suddenly John was back in the chamber. The soldiers stared in silence. Harris whispered, What happened in there? But before John could answer, the chamber shook violently. The countdown on the walls flared, 3 days, 14 hours, 55 minutes. And from the shadows, Alan stepped forward, his face twisted with rage, his rifle raised, his voice shaking. Enough. I won't let you be their chosen one. You're a fool if you think mercy will save us. Humanity doesn't need peace. We need power. The soldiers froze, their eyes wide. Harris shouted, Alan, put it down. But Alan's finger tightened on the trigger. John stood still, his chest rising slowly, his voice calm. If you kill me, Earth dies. Do you want that on your hands? Alan's eyes twitched. Sweat dripped down his face. He shouted back, "No! If I kill you, maybe the pyramid will choose me. Maybe it'll see I'm stronger, I'm not weak like you." The machines stirred, their weapons humming. The chamber lights flared red, the voice thundered again. "The trial nears its end. The choice is upon you," Alan screamed, pulling the trigger. The shot rang out, echoing across the chamber. Time seemed to stop. The bullet spun through the air toward John. The soldiers shouted. The machines powered their weapons. The chamber itself shook with judgment, and in that frozen second, humanity's fate balanced on the edge of a single choice. The gunshot echoed like thunder. The bullet spun through the air, heading straight for John. Time seemed to freeze. The soldiers shouted. The machines raised their weapons. The golden light of the chamber flared so bright it burned their eyes. But before the bullet could strike, the air rippled. A wall of light appeared between John and the shot. The bullet stopped in midair, trembling before it dissolved into sparks. Alan's eyes widened, his hands shaking. He screamed, "No! It was supposed to be me." The machines stepped forward, their glowing eyes locked on Alan, their weapons charged, filling the chamber with a deadly hum. But John raised his hand, his voice strong though his heart was racing. "No, don't. Kill him." The soldiers gasped. Harris whispered, "John, what are you doing? He tried to murder you." But John shook his head slowly. "That's the test, don't you see? If I choose revenge, we fail. Humanity fails." The machines froze, their weapons dimming. The golden light pulsed brighter. The voice of the pyramid thundered, "Mercy chosen. Judgment continues." Alan collapsed to his knees, his face twisted. With anger and despair, he shouted through tears, "You're weak, John. You'll doom us all. Mercy won't save us. Power will." John walked toward him slowly, placing a hand on his shoulder, his voice calm. "Maybe power can rule for a time, but mercy can save forever. That's the difference. That's what we must prove." The chamber shook violently. The walls peeled away, revealing a massive core of light. It pulsed like a star, filling the chamber with blinding radiance. The machines knelt, their voices humming in unison. "The final choice is here. The fate of your race hangs in your hands." John stepped onto the platform at the center. The light wrapped around him. His body trembled. His mind filled with visions once more. He saw the alien fleet above Earth, weapons ready, burning brighter than suns. He saw cities falling, oceans boiling, skies darkening. He saw humanity on the edge of extinction. Then the vision shifted. He saw the faces of his team, the frightened eyes of soldiers, the faces of children, strangers, families on Earth, all waiting, all depending on him. His chest heaved, his voice whispered, "Please, give us a chance," the voice answered, heavy and eternal. One act decides, show us the truth of humanity. A weapon formed before him, forged of golden light. Its blade shimmered, its edge sharp as eternity. The voice spoke, "Strike down the betrayer and claim strength, spare him and claim mercy. The fleet waits for your answer." John turned, the weapon heavy in his hands. Alan knelt before him, his face pale, his body trembling, his eyes wide with fear. The soldiers watched in silence, none daring to move. Alan whispered, "Do it. Kill me. Save them. Show them you're strong enough." John's heart pounded. The weapon glowed brighter. His reflection in the golden blade showed not only himself, but all of humanity. Every choice, every sin, every hope. He raised it high, the chamber trembled. The soldiers held their breath, and then with a deep cry, John let the weapon fall. Not on Alan, but to the ground. The blade shattered into light, fading into the air. His voice rang out, steady and strong, "I choose mercy, I choose hope. Humanity will not fail again." The chamber exploded with light. The machines bowed low. The voice thundered, "Judgment delivered. Humanity is given a second chance." Above Earth, the alien fleet froze. Their weapons dimmed, their massive ships turned, drifting back into the stars. A signal pulsed across the galaxy, bright and clear. The humans had been judged worthy inside. The chamber, the golden core, sank slowly, sealing itself. The countdown on the walls dissolved into nothing, replaced by one final word, glowing across the stone, "Redeemed." The soldiers fell to their knees, relief flooding their hearts. Harris looked at John, his voice trembling. "You did it. You saved us." John's eyes lowered, his voice quiet. "No, we saved ourselves because mercy is stronger than fear, stronger than greed." But as the chamber dimmed, a final whisper echoed in John's mind, a warning not spoken aloud. "The test is passed, but the war is not over. Others will come, and one day, you must lead them." John shivered, his heart heavy with the burden. He knew this was not the end, only the beginning. The pyramid had chosen him, but for what greater purpose? The walls opened, sunlight pouring into the chamber. The pyramid began to sink back into the desert, hiding itself once more. The soldiers stepped outside, the golden sand blazing under the sky. Behind them, the great structure vanished into silence. Leaving no trace, John stood at the edge of the dunes, staring toward the horizon. His hand clenched at his side, his eyes filled with fire. Humanity had been spared, but not forever. The galaxy was watching, waiting, and somewhere beyond the stars, other alien fleets stirred, perhaps allies, perhaps enemies. But one truth was clear. Humanity had been forgiven, but not forgotten. The journey was not over. It had only just begun.